All right, Marty, thank you so much. Well, you knew eventually reality shows would go here.
No, I didn't.
I mean,
there's
just so many strange ones out there. This one has to be the strangest we've heard of, right?
I agree.
WGN America now has Wrestling with Death. Here's the plot, as I think I understand.
Okay.
Small-town morticians in Arkansas. When they aren't running the mortuary, they run a professional wrestling company, and they try to blend the two by having their clients actually get involved with the wrestling as a type of therapy. I mean, come on.
Whether it's in good fun or in good taste, we're going to leave that up to you. Here's my conversation with the stars of the show. I'm going to be honest here. I love a reality show as much or maybe even more than the next person. But the fact that you guys are morticians and it goes into the funeral home, I just don't know if I can get on board with that. I keep reading about how, you know, you show love for your town, you show your love for life about doing these activities, but at the heart of it are these people's loved ones who've passed. How do you balance a reality show with, you know, honoring these people's lives who've passed?
Well, the first thing we do is discuss it with the family and, you know, get their approval. And actually, if they're not interested or don't want it or have a problem with it, we just forget it. It's not everyone comes through our funeral home. It's just a select few. So first thing we do is get with them and see how they feel about it, if it's something interested. But the network has done an excellent job of making this a tribute to this individual. It's not just, you know, some off-the-wall, somebody died, hey, let's show it. It's strictly the family's choice. Now, you know, we've had them just to say, oh, yes, they would have loved to know they was going to be on your TV show. Then we've had them come to us after it and just thanking us for letting them be a part. So, you know, it's got its pros and cons, and it makes me nervous. I'm going to be honest with you. But when I see any kind of doubt or any kind of worry or wonder there, we drop it and move on to the next one. I love it. Wrestling. Up here we call it wrestling. I love the accent down there in Arkansas. Right. Sounds good. Arkansas, so yeah, you. What has this done for your small town? Well, it's brought a lot of energy into it. There, you know, the cameras there and putting up the big bulletin boards and stuff. But, you know, our town is like, I guess, a lot of little towns. Some of the big dogs are just kind of starting to get on board now. At first, they kind of just sat back to, you know, to see what happens. But the last few weeks, we've received a lot of calls from a lot of very important people congratulating us. And so I think they're going to get on board and go on this ride, and we're going to have a good time. All right, Sandra, what do you think about all of this? Is this kind of crazy?
Well, at first it was overwhelming, and it didn't seem real, but now it's beginning to sink in, and I'm excited. We're humbled by this, that anyone would even want to do a story on our family, and I can see where the interest would be with the mortuary service and the wrestling promotion. And, you know, if you grew up in the Mid-South, you grew up watching Memphis wrestling, pretty much, so everybody's familiar with that in our hometown, and it's a small community with not a lot to do. So I feel that we've offered something there for the youth, and actually some of them have, that's how we got into it. A kid that grew up watching us wrestle is now into film and production in Nashville. Speaking of the business, I've always found small town morticians fascinating because you kind of have to do it all. You have to be a salesman, you have to do the science part of it, you have to maybe even do the makeup and hair. I'm not sure. You wear so many different hats. Put the wrestling aside, this show, has it inspired anyone to look into that science and that job? When you're hired into our business, you wear many hats. It may not, you may be hired in as a funeral director, but they may not be all that you do. You may end up having to do something at the wrestling building, or we have a farm or cattle or whatever, but it's a small community and everybody doesn't mind pitching in. So, you know, your job title doesn't just mean that that's all you're going to do. There's no telling what will come up next. All right, so I'm going to put on my Arkansas hat here for a second. Let's see if I can say it right. Wrestling with Death. How'd I do?
You did so good pronouncing wrestling. We could actually use another ring girl if you had the time.
Well, thanks for the job offer. It's one I've never had before. Take care.
Let me say, Jen, you brought up some great points during this. That they're salesmen, social worker, in all of that. And the career of being a mortician is one that I have a lot of respect for.
Big time.
Because they meet people at their saddest point in their life.
It's a multifaceted
and they guide them
business.
through a very tough time.
And I totally have respect for that industry. And hey, what you want to do in your free time, you go do it in your free time. Just
Even
the
if it's
concept
wrestling.
of bringing the reality show cameras into the funeral home, and they definitely did say they gave the families a choice. But that's what sort of made me kind of go.
I'm with you. I don't think I like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't choose that.
I wouldn't.
All right, hey, coming up, we're going to see if Hannah Welker made it through the entire garbage plate, and I want to get her opinion. I want to see what she thinks of it.